Hi, my name is Lauren Gantz. I'm a professor of English at the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point, and today I'm going to talk to you about what you can do with a degree in English. So let me quickly pull up my presentation. Okay, so what can you do with a degree in English? Where can an English major take you? There are a lot of folks who will tell you that, well, the English major is impractical, right? There's not anything you can do with it but teach, and that you will be unemployed after graduation if you study English. You'll be working as a barista at Starbucks, making minimum wage. But I'm going to work pretty hard today to kind of disabuse you of that idea and illustrate that there are actually a lot of things that you can do with English that can make you very successful and fulfilled. So before I jump into different career options, I do want to emphasize that English majors really are in demand. Um, English majors have soft skills, as they're called. And these are basically people skills, the ability to communicate, the ability to understand others and work with others, to think critically, those kinds of things. And the English major really does cultivate those in students. So they give you those things that will allow you to quickly learn and excel at a lot of different jobs. And I think that's why people tend not to think the English major is very practical because, there's not one set job at the end of it. There's a lot of different possibilities, and you just have to find them, right? Have to find what you are interested in. So, just a few facts. Post graduation, English majors actually have lower unemployment rates or underemployment rates, excuse me, than business majors or healthcare majors. Underemployment means that you're working a job that maybe you're overqualified for, or that doesn't pay that well, or that isn't full time, right? English majors do better than more practical degrees like business and healthcare and law enforcement, even. So that's something to think about. And again, it's that adaptability. It allows you to find something that will let you use your skills and that will pay relatively well. Starting salaries out of undergrad for English majors are pretty comparable to starting salaries for business majors, social work majors, biotech majors. Somewhere in that $30,000 to $40,000 range is pretty typical for an English major right out of undergrad. Now, you will make more at first if you're somebody who majors in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. But in the long run, by the time you're 40, an English major earns just as much as people in those STEM fields. And that is in part because technology and science and engineering, all of those fields change so quickly that the things you learn when you start your degree might be obsolete by the time you finish your degree. And by the time you get a job, you're already kind of having to play catch up as things change. Because English majors are so adaptable, they don't have to worry about playing catch up that way. So there's some things to really endear the English major to employers if you are somebody who can learn quickly, work well with others, and adapt. Now, the first kinds of jobs I'm going to talk about are in business. You might think, well, English and business, that doesn't really make sense to me, right? Why would somebody in the business world care if I can read literature or can write a poem? But really, being able to read well and being able to write well just means that you can communicate, right? You understand how to talk to people and how to tell them what they need to know, right? So, this quote is from the CEO of a tech company, Logitech, right? And he says that good writing and the ability to verbalize well are incredibly crucial for people who want to be leaders in the business world. And he's right. There are a lot of leaders in the business world who were English majors. So one example I have here is Michael Eisner, who was the CEO of Disney for 20 years and oversaw, one of the biggest entertainment companies in the world, one of the most wealthy and successful during some of its greatest hits, right? Aladdin, Little Mermaid, Lion King, all of those, the beginning of Pixar, right? So he was somebody who studied English, but went on to be this business CEO. And that's not unusual because of those communication skills. So those soft skills of being able to speak well, write well, also the ability to research, meaning can you go out and figure out, okay, what are people interested in? Or maybe where is there a niche for our products, right? Research is a crucial part of the English major and very useful for the business world. Critical thinking skills, the ability to kind of think on your feet, make decisions that are well informed, and then carry them out. And empathy, the ability to empathize with other people and kind of put yourself in their shoes, which is one of the things that reading makes us do, right? So that is really useful when you're dealing with customers. So there are a lot of different studies. This is just one that I found from MetLife that showed 97% of business executives think that writing skills are very important for their companies. And there are multiple studies that show this. Lots of people in the business world really, really value writing skills. So, as you can see, Michael Eisner is not the only CEO with an English degree. There's people from, makeup companies to tech companies to, Alibaba is kind of like the Amazon of China, media companies. So, lots of folks from a variety of industries are CEOs with degrees in English. Now, you obviously won't start off as a CEO unless you are, somebody who's extraordinarily lucky. But there are other things in the business world that an English degree makes you very well suited for. So, if you're someone who is creative, you could write advertisements, write commercials, write radio spots, write ad slogans, those kinds of things. If you're somebody who's good with people, you could be a public relations expert, talk to the media, talk to customers, help with ad campaigns, that kind of thing. If you are somebody who enjoys social media, you could be the social media coordinator, come up with posts for your company, come up with campaigns and respond to people on the social media sites. And then copywriters or content writers. So this is where you could write things like product descriptions. If you've ever shopped on Amazon, somebody has to write those product descriptions, in addition to things like blog posts, ad campaigns, etc. So these are really great positions that would let you use writing skills and speaking skills that you cultivate as an English major. So the next field, and one that maybe people don't think about, maybe not quite as surprising as the business world, but that's law and government. So this is a quote from the American Bar Association, and that is the organization that gives lawyers their licenses to practice. Everybody has to pass the bar exam if they want to practice law. So this is an explanation, right, that language is the most important tool of a lawyer. You've got to be able to read documents really carefully so you can figure out how to make a case. You've got to be able to write well and speak well so that you can persuade, right, judges and juries. So language is sort of the cornerstone of the legal profession. So you can see from my picture here, this is former Supreme Court Justice John Paul Stevens, who retired pretty recently. He was an English major. And he's not the only Supreme Court justice who studied English. There are more that I'll show you here in a bit. But he's somebody who's reached the highest level in the legal profession, and he's an English major. So the main thing with the English major is that it is very, very well suited if you're interested in going on to get a law degree. It's one of the top 10 most common undergraduate degrees that people in law school earned. So you have to get an undergraduate degree before you go on to law school. So people will do English and then go on to law school. And over 80% of English majors who apply for law school do get accepted, again, because those language and reading skills really position you well. Now, if you don't want to go all the way through law school, but you're interested in the legal profession, English majors also make really good paralegals who work basically as assistants to lawyers. So you would do a little bit of writing, you would do research, and those kinds of things for lawyers. And beyond that, if you're interested in government and politics, the English major can also work really well. If you're going to be a politician, you've got to be able to persuade, right? You've got to be able to make an argument that is convincing to people. And the English major trains you how to do that. Excuse me. So it's a really great degree for that. And there are a lot of folks who are very high up in law and government that have English degrees. So here's just a few that I was able to find with a quick Google search. So current Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, he was an English major, as was former Supreme Court Justice and civil rights activist Thurgood Marshall. Current Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, was an English major. Mitt Romney, who is currently a senator from Utah, was previously the governor of Massachusetts, and who also ran for president. He was an English major at Brigham Young University. And Mario Cuomo, the former governor of New York, was an English major. So this is just a handful. I could find a ton more. But just be aware, right? If you are somebody who is really interested in this area, English is a great degree to consider. Okay, so let's say you really like to write, but you don't think you're going to be the next great American novelist, or you don't think that you'll be able to make a living selling your poems, right? Despair not. There are lots of other degrees or lots of other jobs that you can do that will let you use your writing skills with an English degree. So, writing, editing, and publishing, I've kind of divided this up a little bit. And basically, these are things that you can do that are not necessarily creative writing, but that will allow you to write. So, as I've been saying, being able to write well and persuasively will help you no matter what your job is. Tech, science, business, medicine, law, whatever. Excuse me. Being able to read closely will also serve you well in any number of those fields. So, you might want to think about, if you don't necessarily want to do creative writing, you can study writing, editing, and publishing at schools like UW Stevens Point. And you can also study professional writing, which would be like business writing, technical writing, or biomedical writing, which would be in healthcare. So you can also get firsthand experience with publishing. So that might mean working at the Cornerstone Press, which is our student-run publication house. You can help put together multiple books every year, real books that will go get printed and then get sold. It's a great way to get hands-on experience if you're interested in making books. And a lot of our majors go on and want to work in that field. So, sorry, I'm losing my voice. One example of a successful English major who also kind of merged the sciences is Sally Ride, who was the first female astronaut, and then later in her life went on and authored 7 books about space designed for children. She got an English degree as an undergraduate and then went on to study the sciences. Okay, so there's a lot of different jobs that you can do that will allow you to write. You really just kind of need to follow your interests. So if you are somebody who wants to be a journalist, that's a really common profession for English majors. We've got some of our alumni have gone on to do that. So you can work in, print, audio, you can work online or television, right? So Diane Sawyer, famous television journalist, was an English major. You can be a technical writer if you're somebody who likes to know how things work, or is good at explaining how things work. This could be a great job. You could write instruction manuals, user manuals, online help guides for different products. You could write design specifications for products that need to be manufactured. So this is a really nice way to sort of wed technology and writing. Sorry. You could be a business writer. So in addition to all of the advertising and things that I mentioned earlier, you could write for company policy guides or newsletters or magazines. And that would get circulated among all the employees of a company. You could be a biomedical or science writer, where basically you would take really complicated scientific information and kind of translate it into everyday language for people. So explaining like findings of research, new medications and medical procedures, new discoveries, things like that. So famous science writers like Rachel Carson, who published a book about the effects of pesticide called Silent Spring, was very important for environmentalists. She was an English major. And Dr. Spock, who wrote a very famous childcare guide, was also an English major before going on to get his medical degree. And there are a lot of people who will go from English to medicine as well. And the last one on this page is grant and proposal writing. So you could do a work with a nonprofit organization, like an educational foundation or a community organization, a charity, those kinds of things. And basically, let's say what that organization wants to do a project. Maybe they want to build houses for the homeless or put on some kind of counseling service for people who are survivors of domestic abuse, things like that. But they need money, right, to make those things happen. That's where a grant and proposal writer would come in. They would write an explanation of here's what we want to do and why we want to do it, and here's how much money we think we'll need, and here's why it would be beneficial. And then you would send it to the state or to the federal government or maybe even to an international organization, and they would look at it and decide, okay, we want to contribute money to this, or no, actually we maybe don't. And UWSP actually offers a class on grant and proposal writing where you get to do this. You choose a local organization, work with them, and write a grant proposal for them. And so it's a really great opportunity. And we have our alumni that do this work. Some of them work for Little Free Library, others work for the Women's Community Inc. up in Wausau, which does work with survivors of domestic violence. and assault and things like that. So if you are interested in more like philanthropic kind of work, this is a great thing to do. Now, if you want to make books and be somebody who works in the publishing industry, there's a lot of careers there too. So you could potentially work your way up all the way to the top and be editor-in-chief, where you get to kind of call the shots and manage everybody at that publication and make sure that the things that you decide you're going to print get printed on time and get marketed successfully, and that your publishing house kind of has a good sort of steady set of stuff coming in that you're going to be printing. You could work as a books editor, which is kind of like a talent scout. You would kind of go and look at books from upcoming writers and see, yes, this is really good, we should publish this, and help those writers get their books into print. You could be a copy editor. So if you're somebody who's really good at grammar and spelling, or who is really good at helping people to revise their work, that's what a copy editor does. You could be a production editor. So if you're somebody with a good visual eye, you could pick a cover design. You could choose fonts. You could choose how the pages get laid out. You could choose artwork, all kinds of stuff. So production editor is a pretty cool gig too. You could be the managing editor, which basically takes care of kind of the day-to-day, like, okay, here's what we need to do today. Here's who needs to do it. Here's when it needs to be done by. And we'll hear from an alumna from Point, who has a job as an assistant managing editor. And she'll tell you about it a little bit. Or you could work in sales and marketing, where you would sort of help to publicize books. So lots of different things you could do in the publishing industry that are really interesting and exciting. So I'm going to have a short video here from UWSP alumna Natalie Wanasek, who currently has a job as an assistant managing editor. So I'll go ahead and put her on. So here we go.
Hello, my name is Natalie Wanasek. I am a 2018 graduate of the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point. I graduated with a degree in English with a professional writing minor, and now I am an assistant managing editor of Bang & Hill Publishing, where we publish financial newsletters. And you may be wondering, that's a odd connection. How did you get from an English major to editing financial newsletters that talk about the stock market? Well, I can tell you from experience that the English degree program at the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point is extremely well-rounded, and I was able to not only get a full education on literature of the past and the present, but also on the different ways you can use English in any number of careers, and that includes the technical aspect of writing. Some of the most valuable classes that I took in college were the ones on business writing, on technical writing, ones that had to do with using practical applications of English and writing, rather than just focusing in on the study of literature like most people would think. And that was extremely valuable, and I think one of the things that I've taken with me since graduating was that if you want to have a great chance at finding a job after college and you have an English degree, you can pretty much apply anywhere and you'll find someone is looking for the type of experience you'll have when you have English. So strong writing skills, very good problem solving skills, creative thinking, as well as being able to think outside the box. I know at my current job in Bang & Hill, we are constantly trying to come up with new ways to innovate and keep things exciting. And a lot of the group projects that I had to do, and with the technical writing classes and the publishing classes that I took, I learned so much about collaboration and how to really take English to a new level. I also want to let you know that when it comes to looking for a job with an English degree, definitely expand your thoughts beyond just publishing, because there are so many different ways you can branch out with besides just publishing books. Like when I started out looking for a job, I thought, okay, I want to get into book publishing, and that is what I want to do. And as it turns out, a lot of times book publishing and publishing houses, they want at least 3 to 5 years experience in the book publishing field or in the publishing field in general. And a lot of times you can get that experience working at smaller newsletter publishers or at different online publications, and that's a really great way to start. That's how I'm starting out, and I'm hoping that in the next couple of years I can expand my reach even further with publishing and editing, because that's really where my passion lies. And I would never have found that my passion was in editing if it wasn't for the English program at Stevens Point. So if you're looking into getting into an English degree or studying English at college, I want to let you know that there are so many different opportunities for you out there, and you just got to keep your eyes open, because you never know when that little spark is going to hit you. So keep going, and congratulations. And I really hope that you have a wonderful time learning from Dr. Gantz. She is one of my favorite professors that I had.
All right, and I did not know she was going to say that, so now I have all of the warm fuzzies. All right, so like Natalie said, right, you might not end up where you imagined, but you will find things that are interesting to you and that you can be passionate about. And that's the great thing with an English degree, is that you really do kind of get to carve your own path, which can be scary for some people, but I think is exciting. So beyond editing and publishing, writing, editing, and publishing, there is, of course, teaching. So the education field. Now, there is, of course, a lot you can do in this arena. If you are somebody who likes to help others, who maybe comes from a family of teachers, as I did, maybe this is your dream. So we have a very good K-12 education program at UW Stevens Point that is accessible to our students. So, if that's your dream, then this is a great place to come. But there are other things that you can do with your English degree if you want to, and that will still allow you to work in education. So, a big one, if you're interested in traveling to other countries, you can consider getting a certificate to teach English as a second language, which UWSP does offer. And this will allow you to travel to a lot of different countries and teach English. So you could go to Asia, you could go to South America, you could go to Europe. I had friends who did this straight out of college and really, really loved it, had a great experience with it. I am actually doing a little bit of this myself, teaching some English online. I have a certification to teach English as a second language. Um, so it's really fun and enjoyable, I think, to help somebody learn a new language. So definitely consider that option. If you're not somebody who really wants to be in the classroom, there are other things you can do. You could work as a librarian, for one, go on and do a library science degree. You could work as an archivist, so keeping historical records and papers and preserving them, and working with people who want to do research like genealogy, things like that. Or you could even work as a curator at a museum. So there's lots of other education kind of adjacent things that you can do. We have alumni who work as librarians in cities like Wapaka. We also have other alumni who are getting degrees in higher education administration. So they're going on to do other educational sort of focused careers. And I will say, that our English education program at Point has a very, very strong reputation with a good record of placing people in different jobs around Wisconsin. So I'm going to let you hear from another one of our alumni, Jacob Matthias, who is currently teaching at a school in Watoma. Now, his video I could not embed into my presentation, so I'm going to have to skip out and share a different screen with you all and let him speak. So here we go.
School. I teach high school English.
Here we go.
I went to UWSP twice, actually, but my English degree I graduated with in 2019. I loved the English program at UWSP. The professors there are awesome. There's such a wide range of knowledge and expertise. They can prepare you for, anything in the world of reading and writing, and that. As an English teacher, it helped me a lot. Not only are the education professors like Erica Ringelspa and David Roloff fantastic, but the literature and the writing professors just open your eyes so much to the literature that's out there and the ability to speak and listen and read and write in ways that will make you successful in any job, but especially as a teacher. They gave me the tools I need to reach all my students and understand all my students in a way that I wouldn't have been able to had I been to another education program. You read so many cool things and write so many interesting views and topics, and I don't know, but it's a great place to be. I wouldn't be where I am without them, and I think about it every single day, and I wish I could go back there. In fact, I am. I'm going back for my master's degree this semester, so maybe I'll see you around. Have a great day. Go UWSP English.
All right. So, yeah, he's somebody who he took classes with me, and it was a really great opportunity. I like working with our English education students a lot because they're so passionate about what they do. So, it's something to consider, right? Especially if you're somebody who likes to work with young people. An education field is a really great opportunity for you. So our last section is the more creative careers that you can find with an English degree. And these are, the ones that you're going to be taking a chance to do, right? It's always risky. As Henri Matisse here says, creativity takes courage. Takes time, takes courage, takes a lot of hard work. So our sort of big example of this from UW Stevens Point is Pat Rothfuss, who is a best-selling author of fantasy series, which are also going to be made into a TV series. He's an alumni from 1999, and he is doing extremely well with his books. So in terms of creative careers, it's really dream big, right? This is the kind of thing that is like winning the lottery if you are an English major, if you can make a living this way. So if you're interested in writing novels or poetry, of course, an English major is going to be a great fit for you. If you want to do even, essays, nonfiction, right? English major can be great for that. If you're interested in screenwriting, like writing for TV or movies, or if you're interested in writing for theater, English is also a great place to be. TV writer Shonda Rhimes, for example, studied English in college, and there are many others who did so as well. If you want to act and be in the theater, there are a lot of actors who have English degrees too. These are just a handful. So Matt Damon, Emma Watson, Owen Wilson, many, many more. I could go on. There are multiple directors who also have degrees in English. So Steven Spielberg, probably one of the most successful directors of all time. Martin Scorsese, who's one of the most award-winning directors of all time. And Christopher Nolan, who did the most recent Batman movies, were all English majors. And several well-known musicians have also studied English. So John Legend, Kanye West, Sting, Paul Simon, various others all studied English in college. And it helps, I think, with being able to tell really compelling, interesting stories if you have an English degree, because you have experience reading so many interesting and well-written stories. If you want to be a good writer, you need to read good writing, and that's what the English degree can give you. So the last one here is a little bit of an oddball, but Conan O'Brien, right, TV personality, also majored in English, but he also wrote for The Simpsons and wrote for Saturday Night Live, so he kind of fits into that TV writing field too. All right, so that's that, basically. So an English degree can take you all kinds of different places. I think that, that's the thing that kind of makes people a little bit wary of it, because you do have to do a little bit of the work to think about, okay, how can I use these skills? Where can I use these skills? But it's a total myth, right, that this stuff is not practical or not useful. It is so helpful in any number of fields, regardless of where your interests are. So I would really encourage you to think about a degree in English if you are interested in reading and writing and creativity. And I would love to have you all as students. Take care and enjoy the rest of your summer. Be safe. And that is all I have for you. Have a good day.